Okay.
Welcome to Tnashi's Movie Corner, and today I will be doing a versus matchup of The Little Mermaid, which came out in 1989, versus Howls Moving Castle, which came out in 2004. Now, in reviewing this movie, we decided based upon plot, main characters, side characters, songs, humor, villain, cast, romance, memorability, themes, and action. So let's get started right now, and as far as the plot is concerned, first let me give you a little summary of Howls Moving Castle, which you may or may not know. But when an unconfident young woman is cursed with an old body by a spiteful witch, her only chance of breaking the spell lies with the self-indulgent yet insecure young wizard and his companions in his legged walking castle. So, that being said, I'm pretty sure you know the plot to Little Mermaid. But that being said, we actually gave plot to Little Mermaid. Now hear me out. Howl's Moving Castle, it works. You know, the movie's great and everything. That's why it's considered. However, the plot kind of truds along a little bit, and Miyazaki films do tend to do that. They're kind of They're self-contained stories, but they're done so in a way of which just, you know, everyday stuff is happening and the characters are kind of dealing with it. Whereas Little Mermaid has a plot that actually progresses with her, you know, with this idea of her becoming human. And you have stuff built around that. There's a lot built around that. Howl's Moving Castle has a lot of different pieces, but they're not centered around one thing. There's several things in it, and while that could be a good thing in this particular case of comparing the plot, the one that actually has a better done plot is Little Mermaid. Main character, though, we gave to Howl's Moving Castle for Sophie, which is not Howl, which, you know, giving the title you might have thought, but Sophie's, you know, she's the young woman with the unconfidence and everything that gets cursed, and the movie does have her kind of getting over that doubt that she has within her and helping others, but then at the end of it helping herself, which is, you know, it works really really well for that. Ariel's likable, and she's, you know, she has that naive essence to her, which, you know, is likable too. The thing is, though, like, her motivations are kind of odd, to say the least. Like, what drives her to become human and everything, that fascination. And she doesn't have as much character growth. So, Sophie has a lot of character growth. So, for that reason, Howl's Moving Castle got it. For side characters, we gave that one to Little Mermaid. Neither one of them actually have too strong of a presence with the side characters, but Little Mermaid does have Sebastian, and it does have Eric, Prince Eric, and it does have King Triton. So, you know, it does have some. Howl's Moving Castles, it does have Howl, but he's the only real noteworthy one, and he's kind of in and out of the movie. And you learn a lot about him and everything, but you see him more from Sophie's perspective. You don't really get as much insight into him as a character. Not to say that you get a lot of insight to Little Mermaid either, but they do have a little more going for them than Howl's Moving Castle does. So for songs, that went to Little Mermaid. It has the songs, and they're memorable songs, so that kind of helps out there too, even if Howl's Moving Castle did have songs. Going on to humor, we also gave that one to Little Mermaid. Howl's Moving Castle it has some humor in it, but again, it's not really that type of movie. Little Mermaid incorporates quite a bit of humor, and it does work well for the most part. There's some points where it doesn't, but overall, I think it's good. For For villain, we gave villain to Little Mermaid as well. Ursula's a very memorable villain, especially the voice that's brought to her. And her motivations are a little iffy, but Howl's Moving Castle has an antagonist, but the thing is, the witch that is the antagonist doesn't show up in throughout. Like, she isn't really an antagonist for the entire film. It does change, and she's not as involved as some some of the other villains that you see in some other movies. She's just kind of there. So for that reason, we gave it to Little Mermaid. As far as cast goes, cast was it's a bit harder for that one, because you have Gene Simmons. Excuse me. You have Gene Simmons as kind of the older Sophie. You have Christian Bale as Howl. I think there's someone else Billy Crystal. As the fire Calispher. I don't know if that's right or not, but anyway, the point is, you got a few voices here or there that are nice, but to be honest, like, even Howl's voice it's kind of forgettable. Where okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna try to get back into this because I got people texting me, phone calls, rain starting to happen. It's just crazy. Anyway, so for cast, we actually gave that to Little Mermaid because, again, you have Pat Carell doing Ursula's voice, Jodie Benson's Ariel, and both of those are pretty good, pretty memorable. As well as Samuel E. Wright as Sebastian. I think they all do a really good job, and they really bring something to the character, and they stand out more so than Howl's Moving Castle does. Moving on to romance, though, we gave that one to Howl's Moving Castle. One of the things about Little Mermaid is the relationship. I don't really buy into it. If you look at it from just a story perspective, it doesn't really work. Whereas Howl's Moving Castle it has a build up to it that takes place over the course of the entire movie, and it works really well. They did a really good job of presenting that. Anyway, moving on from there to Memorability, we gave Memorability to Little Mermaid. It kind of had to go to Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid has so many different memorable moments. A lot of them involving her singing or some form of singing happening, but there's just a lot of moments in that, and that's what makes it stand out as one of the classic Disney movies. As far as themes go, though, we gave themes to Howl's Moving Castle. Again, talking about the unconfidence and everything, and building into it was throughout the entire movie, and it was done really well, and I really enjoyed that in this movie. And it worked a lot better than what Little Mermaid tried to do, because there's this whole thing with Little Mermaid about following your own path kind of deal, but the motivations behind following her own path and kind of the lengths of which she's willing to go to, so they don't really work for the themes. Also, for action, we gave that to Howl's Moving Castle. It has more action in it, and the action's really well done, and it's kind of a sight to behold watching it, whereas Little Mermaid doesn't have too much action except for the very end of the movie. And while it's fine, it's, in a way, it kind of comes off as being a little anticlimactic. So for that reason, Howl's Moving Castle got it. But as far as the score goes here, we have a 7-4 vote in favor of Little Mermaid. I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed here. I thought Howl's Moving Castle would have a lot more, and I personally enjoy it a lot more. But sometimes these things happen, and we try to be as objective as possible. So the fact that Little Mermaid won it's just something that, you know, just kind of happened. But do you agree or disagree? Like, I'd like to know what do you guys think. Have you seen both movies? Because particularly Howl's Moving Castle, if you haven't seen it, I recommend you see it. It's one of Miyazaki's great films. I don't want to say it's one of his best because he's got a lot of really good ones, but it's a great film and I really enjoy it. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's starting to thunder. But anyway, I know I said I was going to be doing the Dragon Ball Z movie review today. So here's what happened. I showed up at my local theater, dressed up in a Vegeta shirt and everything. You know, had a little swag to me, right? Because I'm seeing a Dragon Ball Z movie. Yeah, I know. And thing is, I didn't pre-order these tickets. I didn't pay for them in advance. Why would I need to do that? I got this. So I walked up, and well, I drove up rather, and parked, and saw that there was a crowd of people there. And it's like, oh man, there's a lot of people here today. They can't all be here for Dragon Ball Z, can they? And then I looked out at this crowd of people that's standing outside of my theater, and I saw the Dragon Ball Z shirts, and I saw the hair, and I saw just the nerdy look in their eyes, and I knew they were here for Dragon Ball Z. And sure enough, when I went up there to get my ticket, they told me they were sold out. So props to you guys, you Dragon Ball Z fans, for showing up to this movie, because you had them sold out. So I'm going to try to see it today, weather permitting. You know, I don't know how the storm's going and everything, but I'm going to try to see it today, and I'll try to get that review up for you guys tomorrow. But hopefully you enjoyed this vid and click that like button and share this video. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel and watch my other vids and comment. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on these videos, on which one you prefer or what rating you would give. It's really cool to get different perspectives on it. Anyway, guys, that'll wrap this up. So until next time, peace.